Given the fact that the mere mention of philosophy makes most nervous or bored, Stoic philosophy on the surface sounds like the last thing anyone would want to learn about, let alone urgently need in the course of daily life. But in reality, in Stoicism, we have a tool to help us in our pursuit of self-mastery, perseverance, and wisdom, something one uses to live a great life, rather than some esoteric field of academic inquiry. In it, we find some of the greatest wisdom in the history of the world. Certainly, many of history's great minds not only understood Stoicism for what it truly is, they sought it out. George Washington, Walt Whitman, Frederick the Great, Eugene Delacroix, Adam Smith, Thomas Jefferson, Matthew Arnold, Ambrose Bierce, Theodore Roosevelt, William Alexander Percy, Ralph Waldo Emerson, each read, studied, quoted, or admired the Stoics. That usually meant the three principal Stoic leaders. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the Roman Empire. The most powerful man on earth, sat down each day to write himself notes about restraint, compassion, and humility. Epictetus endured the horrors of slavery to found his own school, where he taught many of Rome's greatest minds. Seneca, when Nero turned on him and demanded his suicide, could think only of comforting his wife and friends. Which is why I am excited to bring all new translations of the greatest passages from them, as well as several other lesser-known Stoics, in the Daily Stoic, 366. Meditations on wisdom, perseverance, and the art of living. It offers one meditation for each day of the year, to make you happier, more resilient, and a wiser, better person. Here are 7 meditations I selected from the book that will help you get the most out of your life and that I think you'll love. Enjoy. Were all the geniuses of history to focus on this single theme, they could never fully express their bafflement at the darkness of the human mind. No person would give up even an inch of their estate. And the slightest dispute with a neighbor can mean hell to pay. Yet we easily let others encroach on our lives. Worse, we often pave the way for those who will take it over. No person hands out their money to passers-by, but to how many each of us hand out our lives. We're tight-fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers. Today, there will be endless interruptions, phone calls, emails, visitors, unexpected events. Booker T. Washington observed that the number of people who stand ready to consume one's time to no purpose is almost countless. Given the fact that the mere mention of philosophy makes most nervous or bored, Stoic philosophy on the surface sounds like the last thing anyone would want to learn about. They also know how little time we're actually given in life, and how quickly our stores can be depleted. Seneca reminds us that while we might be good at protecting our physical property, we are far too lax at enforcing our mental boundaries. Property can be regained. There is quite a bit of it out there, some of it still untouched by man. But time. Time is our most irreplaceable asset. We cannot buy more of it. We can only strive to waste as little as possible. I say let no one rob me of a single day who isn't going to make a full return on the loss. People spend a lot more money when they use credit cards than when they have to pull out actual cash. If you ever wondered why credit card companies and banks push cards so aggressively, this is why the more credit cards you have, the more you'll spend. Do we treat the days of our lives like we treat our money? Because we don't exactly know how many days we'll be alive, and because we try our hardest not to think about the fact that someday we'll die. We're pretty liberal with how freely we spend our time. We let people and obligations impose on that time, only rarely asking, what am I getting in return here? Seneca's maxim is the equivalent of cutting up your credit cards and switching to cash. He says to put real thought into every transaction. Am I getting my money's worth here? Is this a fair trade? You aren't bothered, are you? Because you weigh a certain amount and not twice as much. So why get worked up that you've been given a certain lifespan and not more? Just as you are satisfied with your normal weight, so you should be with the time you've been given. They say age is just a number, but to some people, it's a very important one. Otherwise, women wouldn't lie about being younger and ambitious. Young men wouldn't lie about being older. Rich people and health nuts spend billions of dollars in an effort to move the expiration date from around 78 years to hopefully forever. The number of years we manage to eke out doesn't matter, only what those years are composed of. Seneca put it best when he said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Sadly, most people don't. They waste the life they've been given. Only when it is too late do they try to compensate for that waste, by vainly hoping to put more time on the clock. This is the mark of perfection of character, to spend each day as if it were your last without frenzy, laziness, or any pretending. Stoics didn't think that anyone could be perfect. The idea of becoming a sage, the highest aspiration of a philosopher, wasn't realistic. This was just their Platonic ideal. Still, they started every day hoping to get a little closer to that mark. There was much to gain in the trying. Can you actually live today like it is your last day? Is it even possible to embody completeness or perfection in our ethos character, effortlessly doing the right thing for a full 24 hours? Is it possible for more than a minute? Maybe not. But if trying was enough for the Stoics, it should be enough for us too. You are afraid of dying. But come now, how is this life of yours anything but death? Seneca tells an amazing story about an obscenely wealthy Roman who was carried around by slaves on a litter. On one occasion, after being lifted out of a bath, the Roman asked, "Am I sitting down yet?" Seneca's point was essentially, what kind of sad, pathetic life is it if you're so disconnected from the world that you don't even know whether you're on the ground? How did the man know whether he was even alive at all? Most of us are afraid of dying, but sometimes this fear begs the question, to protect what exactly? For a lot of people, the answer is hours of television, gossiping, gorging, wasting potential reporting to a boring job, and on and on and on. Except in the strictest sense, is this actually a life? Is this worth gripping so tightly and being afraid of losing? Musing in his notebook about the topic of immortality, Ralph Waldo Emerson complained how writers dance around a difficult topic by relying on quotes. "I hate quotation," he wrote. "It's harder and more intimidating to venture out on your own and express your own thoughts. But how do you think those wise and true quotes from those towering figures were created in the first place? Your own experiences have value. You have accumulated your own wisdom too. Stake your claim. Put something down for the ages in words, and also an example. It's not at all that we have too short a time to live, but that we squander a great deal of it. Life is long enough, and it's given in sufficient measure to do many great things if we spend it well. But when it's poured down the drain of luxury and neglect, when it's employed to no good end, we're finally driven to see that it has passed by before we even recognize it passing. And so it is we don't receive a short life, we make it so. There are several different types of crystals. Some people believe they have healing abilities for the mind, body, and soul. Many ancient cultures, including ones in Egypt, Greece, and China, believed that crystals have healing properties. Some people claim that crystals promote the flow of good energy and help rid your body and mind of negative energy for physical and emotional benefits. They believe certain crystals benefit your sleep, help you manifest your desires, and add an additional healing element to Reiki. But it's important to note that almost no scientific evidence supports the use of crystals or other forms of energy healing. Crystals have largely been dismissed as pseudoscience, although some studies suggest they may offer a placebo effect. An older study presented at conferences in 1999 and 2001, but not published in a peer-reviewed journal, suggested that any healing benefits associated with crystals were most likely a result of the power of suggestion. The National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, NCCIH, notes that complementary health practices such as mindfulness and meditation can promote trusted source relaxation and may provide other benefits to people experiencing anxiety and depression, and those managing symptoms related to a chronic condition. You may reap some of those same benefits depending on how you use crystals. Still, some people believe it goes deeper than that. Crystals are made up of different elements or compounds which our bodies react to in different ways. Says Sonali Saujani, a crystal master healer. Crystals are minerals that hold energy. And as we as humans are made up of energy, we can exchange energy with the crystal when we work with it. Saujani points out that crystals are used to improve the function of many everyday objects like watches, plugs, hospital equipment, and lasers. She cites a 2008 study that states that quartz can act as a flint to start a fire or generate electricity. If a crystal can be piezoelectric, contain electric charge, I am sure it can do so much more. They balance out electric currents and keep equipment from exploding, says Soundjani. In the same way, when it comes to crystals in our body, all they're doing is balancing out the frequency of the electromagnetic currents in our body.